You think you've got my number figured out? A motive born in drought and brevity. And if I'm not the soul of your design, I blatantly decline your remedy. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine. Wasn't always just a single shade, a palette full of gray in reverie. And I can burn it brighter than the sun. I have a golden gun inside of me. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else. And if I fall behind, ignoring all the signs, if I lose the fight, I still rage against the night. Don't box I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Ooh, it's kind of dark in here, folks. Sorry about that. Let me fix that. And there shall be light. Sorry about that. Welcome everybody to the Thursday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Thursday. It is Friday Junior, folks. It's basically the weekend. Welcome, Michael Hasser. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Sup? Folks, we definitely have a few things to go through. Today we will make it a chill stream. Come on. There it is. Hey, looks good. Today we'll make it a chill stream, folks. It's the weekend. Really quick, folks, thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you all. You guys are what makes this channel grow. We are continuing to grow, and I appreciate the support. If you want to continue supporting the channel, there are many different ways. Join the Discord, folks. There's some cool people on the Discord. And if you want to support the channel, consider checking out the merch store by hitting !merch. And you can also tip your streamer, hitting the ! tip. I know how to count to 100 in Mandarin now, because... Oh, I see. Holds out sledgehammer. Easy to get through things with excessive force. Welcome, Footlong. Alright, folks, let's get started. It is unfortunate that we have to report. It's unfortunate that we have to report that the death toll from the hurricane has now passed 200, and unfortunately, I have a feeling that it's probably going to be much higher than that as well. Give me 1 second. All right. Yep. That's right, Michael Hasser. It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be really freaking bad. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if it passes. It wouldn't surprise me if it passes more than 300 by the time everything is said and done. Damn that Biden for mind controlling that hurricane. That's Sanbai in Mandarin. $300?
Every single issue that's important to us as Americans
Yep, cool.
gets corrupted by the way we fund campaigns. Now, the problem is the money's not coming from the average American. It's not like all of us are giving money to these candidates. Instead, they're raising this money from the tiniest fraction of the 1%.
American politics have fundamentally changed over the last 14 years.
One reason, in a word, money.
Money!
The most expensive election year ever.
Super PACs can raise an unlimited.
Yeah, and mind you, the little logo at the bottom was 2012. 2012. That was, 12 years ago?
Sum of money with very few restrictions.
They're like these breathing monsters inside Congress right now.
It's like poison, right? It's like a drop of poison in the well.
Many people don't remember that until 2010, the Republican Party had a very aggressive climate change platform.
Who believes global climate change is serious?
I believe that global climate change is a serious.
Change is real, and I've been involved in it.
But in 2010, a pair of court rulings legalized the Super PAC, a vehicle for corporations and billionaires to pour unlimited money into elections.
And almost overnight, the Republican Party went from a party trying to address a very difficult problem in good faith in competition with the Democrats to a party that denied there was even such a thing as climate change.
I do not think the science clearly supports the global warming theory.
With the global warming and that, a lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax.
Politicians have to pay attention and have to do what the big money wants.
But now, Super PACs have a new challenger, a group in Maine with a radical idea.
When I first heard this theory, I did not think it was plausible.
There are some powerful politicians and special interests that don't want to see this come to fruition.
They have a plan to use the very decision that broke our system to fix it. To understand how that's even possible, we have to dive deep into the system that has enabled money to corrupt our politics for the past 40 years. It starts at
the Senate Watergate hearings
and the departure from political life of Richard M. Nixon.
I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
The Watergate scandal prompted an investigation into Nixon's re-election campaign.
For the Republicans, I think that is real out there. What a joke is not when Trump says something like dictator day one. Yep.
American Airlines has admitted it made illegal corporate contributions to President Nixon's re-election campaign.
Nixon was very focused on winning, not just in a small way, but in a dramatic way. And he began to adopt policies which really astonished the public. There's a famous example of a bunch of milk producers who were upset with milk price controls.
These milk producers met with Nixon and illegally offered $2 million to help his re-election campaign.
And surprise, surprise, within a very short period of time, Nixon announced his change in his policy about milk price regulation.
Amazing.
Revelations about this kind of corruption prompted a reckoning. In 1974, Congress amended the Federal Election Campaign Act to include strict limits on donations and cap spending in elections.
So this architecture gets built post-Watergate and immediately challenged, goes to the Supreme Court.
One of the key things the Supreme Court kept was limits on
Scrotus. Yeah.
donations.
In Buckley, the Supreme Court said, well, it's okay to limit contributions to a campaign because the fear is there'll be some quid pro quo bribery.
So quid pro quo, as it's currently understood, is a this for a that, a favor in exchange for some kind of governmental action. So the reason we have limits on how much you can contribute to a candidate is because if you could give $20,000 to a candidate, the risk of quid pro quo corruption would be greater.
But the Supreme Court overturned the limits on what campaigns and outside groups could spend in an election. This meant that while an individual could only donate up to $1,000 to a candidate, the candidate and their campaign could spend as much as they wanted.
As somebody once described it, it's like, well, you've got an ocean you can fill and you've got a teaspoon to fill it with. So what it did is it created this really horrific incentive, which is every candidate started to spend all their time fundraising.
Money talks in politics, and on any given evening in Washington, someone is raising money for a campaign.
But there were still some rules. Crucially, politicians were not allowed to accept money from corporations, a rule put in place all the way back in 1907. And in 2002, Congress passed a law to prevent corporations from spending money to try and influence the outcome of an election.
I mean, like, this is wild that we used to actually have protections like that, where companies could not spend money in elections. That's just wild. Cognizant welcome. Morals? Well, I don't know, but certainly that was a good rule. I wish we still had that. Until there's the closer to even distribution in the court, I'm going to call it scrotumus because it's just a wrinkly sack of smooth brains.
That was the case all the way until 2010.
Tonight, as promised, a special comment on the Supreme Court's ruling today in the case Citizens United v. Federal Election Commission.
There it is.
What Citizens United did is say that corporations
are people
could not be limited in spending as much money as they wanted to in the context of a political election. And that's a big deal.
In short, there are now no checks on the ability of corporations or unions or other giant aggregations of power to decide our elections.
There was just one caveat. The spending had to be independent of a campaign. The court still wanted to prevent quid pro quo bribery. So a company could buy ads in a newspaper to promote a candidate, but it couldn't give money directly to a candidate. Still, one key question remained unanswered.
Could you give unlimited amounts of money to a committee that's going to spend money independently of a campaign? So it's not about the spending, it's about the contributions.
2 months after Citizens United, the DC Circuit Court took a case.
And it turns out the answer to that question is, yeah. Yeah, I suppose you can.
In which it took Citizens United and interpreted it to mean that any donations to a committee that makes independent expenditures couldn't be limited.
Now, at the time, people didn't care much about the decision. The United States government decided not to appeal it to the United States Supreme Court because they didn't think it was going to be significant. But this turned out to be the camel's nose under the tent.
And that decision, not Citizens United, the Speech Now decision, is what led to the absolute profusion of super PACs.
The political ads are coming at us fast and furiously.
Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have been taking us for a ride.
Secretive new breed of spending groups.
Kamala took $2 gas and made it sick.
Trump fights for billionaires like him.
So very quickly, people started using super PACs as the way to dump ungodly large amounts of money into the political system. They could coordinate more effectively as a committee spending money than as one, corporation out there putting billboards up or buying ads in the Wall Street Journal.
Since 2010, super PACs have funneled billions of dollars into elections.
Now, a handful of billionaires can contribute hundreds of millions, even $1 billion into an election cycle.
Instead of the category of people who can give between $2,000 and $5,000 running policy, you now have the people in the stratosphere who are totally disconnected from life. The big super PAC donors don't care about public education, basic health care, basic infrastructure.
Right, because they don't care about any of that. They just want to make sure that they secure their capital. Heat, how's it going? Welcome. It's also sickening. It is. It is that this is the reality of how electoral politics play out here.
They certainly don't care about sewage systems because they've got their own whole suite of golden toilets in their mansions.
In 2024, 97% of super PAC money comes from just the top 1% of donors.
Billionaire CEO Elon Musk says he will donate to a new super PAC supporting former President Trump. Musk has pledged to donate $45 million a month.
This is just absolutely unheard of amount of money. He doesn't need to have a polite conversation with Trump where he says, I am going to give this to you so long as you support me.
Yeah, so long as you support deregulation and be as anti-labor as possible so that workers aren't able to organize in my companies, then yeah, I'll help you get elected.
He just needs to have the promise or threat of that money, and of course he's going to have an impact on policy.
And I'm for electric cars. I have to be, because Elon endorsed me very strongly, Elon. So I have no choice.
But according to the DC Circuit Court decision that came right after Citizens United, independent donations...
It's just crazy how, he just says that, out loud, He just says it out loud of how this works, right? I get endorsements from oligarchs. I have to support them because they give me endorsements. Yeah, straight up just admits it.
No matter what size, couldn't be classified as bribery because there was no direct relationship between the donor and the candidate, at least in theory.
The decision that gave us super PACs is just wrong. It's just obviously, logically wrong. Take the case of Robert Menendez. Menendez was indicted for bribery. He was indicted, the charge was, he promised to give government favors in exchange for money from a Florida billionaire. But the Florida billionaire was not giving Menendez's the money, wasn't giving Menendez's campaign the money. He was giving the money to Menendez's super PAC. So there we have quid pro quo bribery involving a contribution to a super PAC. The very thing that the DC Circuit said could not happen was what was indicted in the Menendez case.
It's obvious that a major contribution to a super PAC is going to influence a candidate.
Yeah,
it takes
to say
incredible gymnastics.
Yeah, to say that this incredible amount of money being poured into an election doesn't have any type of influence over candidates is absurd, right? Like it's absurd. It's a childish, naive. It's a childish understanding of how this works. Of course, it's going to influence the candidate, right? Like that's literally why that happens. A squid pro quo is so much more interesting. You do a bunch of shady junk and then you get a squid. I'm all about that. I would take that. I fully support squid. Say that 3 times. Say that fast 3 times. Squid pro quo. I'll do that. I can get behind that.
And just an ignorance of basic human nature that any 6-year-old knows to think that it wouldn't influence candidates.
See, Citizens United actually left a key way to regulate political contributions.
So what the Supreme Court has said is if there is a significant risk of what it calls quid pro quo corruption, you can regulate it. In the case of super PACs, there is an extremely significant risk of quid pro quo corruption, so we can regulate it.
And now, a policy to curb the unchecked power of billionaires and corporations is on the ballot in Maine.
It's a very short question on the ballot. Do you want to limit to $5,000 the amount that a political action committee can accept from an individual or corporation?
The argument is not that we're trying to suppress the amount of money in politics. We're trying to avoid raising money in a way that creates the risk of quid pro quo corruption. If a million people give $100 to a particular PAC, that's $100 million. That's a lot of money. And that PAC will have an extraordinary influence in the political process. But it's an influence that reflects the popularity of its ideas across a wide range of the public. That's how democracy is supposed to work.
Their idea has gotten support from people across the political spectrum.
One of the first people to sign it was the chairman of the local Trump campaign, who was there himself to gather signatures to get Donald Trump's name on the primary ballot. And he looked at it and he said, hell yes, and he signed it. And then he got everybody who signed his petition to come over and sign my petition to get the initiative on the ballot.
Sounds reasonable. Never gonna happen. I mean, if it works in Maine, perhaps that can put down a blueprint for other states as well. Now I know what to get you for your B-Day. What would Clarence Thomas not do? Exactly. You should make legal to vote on anything that would affect anything that is connected to business. You take money from how you make it. Easy to explain. I think it's like, what would Jesus do bracelets? Just change it to what would Clarence Thomas not do? There you go.
If the ballot initiative passes on November 5th, it will be challenged in the courts, because it's in direct conflict with the current rule from the DC Circuit Court that corporations and individuals have a right to contribute unlimited money to super PACs. But this legal battle is actually what Mainers are hoping for.
If it's challenged, it will then go to a court that's never considered the question, the First Circuit Court of Appeals. If that court says super PACs can be regulated, then it will get to the United States Supreme Court.
This sets the Supreme Court up to decide if unlimited donations to super PACs create a risk of quid pro quo and should be regulated.
So the argument that Maine will be making to the Chief Justice is, we want you to apply your principle to a set of facts you've never considered before. So your principle is, you can regulate where there's a risk of quid pro quo corruption. We say there's a risk of quid pro quo corruption, and what's our evidence of that risk? Well, let me show you Robert Menendez. Let me show you the charges against Donald Trump. Let me show you any number of cases where it's absolutely clear that you've got a quid pro quo involving a contribution to a super PAC.
Mainers get off the sofa and take action to do what needs to get done to solve a problem. If a neighbor needs help, you help your neighbor. If there's a problem in your school, you jump up and help the problem in your school. If there's a problem in your democracy because it's not working for you, you get up off the couch and you do something about it. And that's what Mainers have always done.
So they say, as Maine goes, so goes the nation. We've got a shot. Let's take it.
So nice to be giving toddlers a chance to try their hand at law. I wear a bracelet that says, "What would I do?" It's useless. We'll see how that turns out, and what if it inevitably reaches, well, not if inevitably, if it does reach the Supreme Court, we shall see what the 9 law wizards have to say. Bye, bots. Yeah, there's a bot war going on behind the scenes that you guys can't see, but there's a bot war going on behind the scenes between pay for viewers spamming bots versus our Sari bot who keeps knocking them left and right. Everyone pay homage. All hail the mighty Sari bot. A third of which are guilty of quid pro quo corruption. Namaste. Scrotus. Oh, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. For a second there, I thought you meant Congress, but I mean... They keep offering cheap viewers, but I know that our viewers are the cheapest online. Ha! Those $100 million was Yubabi $1. Greetings and salutations.
Cedar on the Majority Report. Emma Vigeland out today. It is always a pleasure to welcome back to the program Ari Berman is the national voting rights correspondent from Mother Jones Magazine, author of 2 books, if I'm not mistaken. The most recent, 3. Apologies.
You always miss one of my books.
There's always one I miss.
The 6 Grand Wizards and 3 judges.
But the most recent, Minority Rule, the right-wing attack on the will of the people, and the fight to resist it. Your first one was actually a campaign book, right?
Herding Donkeys. Yeah, I just don't like it that much, so I just don't.
That's why I don't talk about it either. I sense that. Yeah. Ari, great to see you. I've talked a little bit about these stories peripherally, and it's hard to know how much impact they're going to have. But the context in which we're discussing these things are that Donald Trump won the 2016 election with 70,000 votes over the course of 3 states. I think Biden...
Trump intends to enact a national sales tax that would raise prices.
Growing interest in socialism among young people in America. But do they know about its dismal past?
Won with a margin of even less than that over the course of like 4 states. So when we're talking about 5,000 votes, 10,000 votes, 15, 20,000 votes, that's a big deal, even though we're talking about states with millions of votes. And so any tiny change to the voting processes can really have a big impact.
and you've obviously been writing about this. When you, if you were
Especially
to put like a
with-
little siren on top, which state, right?
Especially with elections being this close, right? Like now, 2020 and this one. This one's probably going to be even closer than 2020. This election is probably going to be even closer than 2020.
Right now would get that siren.
Well, I've been doing a lot of sirens on Georgia recently because that is the state where the Trump campaign.
Yeah, so have we, by the way. We've been on top of that of those stories that are coming out of Georgia with the rule changes with regards to how the elections are going to be handled. Trump's tax raised the cost of stuff, and that is before extra tariffs.
Seems the most dead set on trying to rig the election ahead of time. They're basically rerunning the 2020 playbook, but now they're doing it before the election. And I think the state where they're doing it the most clearly is Georgia, because they are changing how elections are run and potentially how elections are certified there through the state election board, which
right, like that's the key right there, how elections are certified as well. Georgia and North Carolina are going to muck things up. How many? I don't doubt it. It's a pretty freaking scary thought. The more you look into it. How many states do you think will declare Trump winner 5 minutes before finishing the count? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know if they'll start declaring like winners before everything is all said and done. Like, I don't know. I don't even know if it's prudent to do that this time around, you know?
now has 3 Trump MAGA election denier appointees as a controlling majority. And so they are passing the greatest number of rule changes that could lead to disputes over how votes are counted, that could lead to election officials not certifying the results. And they're also doing it at the 11th hour when it could cause the greatest amount of impact and confusion.
And I mean, Georgia seems like almost like the least likely because of the hostility between Kemp and Trump and was it
Raffensperger?
Raffensperger.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, you know, Georgia's the place where they recorded Trump saying, like, I just need a couple of more votes. But this board is independent. So what is the what are Georgia state officials doing in terms of like this board, and what is the board specifically doing?
So Georgia, that's true. The Republicans in Georgia did stand up to Trump, but Georgia is still the only major swing state in which Republicans control all levels of government. So
that's why this is happening. It's not so much that Georgia's strategic as much as this is the place we can do it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Georgia was the only place where they could take over the election board.
Well, I mean, but it is kind of strategic, right? At this point. At this point of the game. Independently MAGA, you mean?
In this kind of way. So what happened was they purged the Republicans that stood up to Trump from the election board. Brad Raffensperger, the Secretary of State, who resisted Trump's demand to find 11,780 votes to reverse Biden's victory, he was kicked off the election board by Republicans. They changed the composition of the board. They gave the legislature and the Georgia Republican Party the power to appoint a majority of the board. They appointed election deniers to that board. Trump famously campaigned in Georgia and Atlanta and praised these election board members who no one had ever heard of before then as pit bulls fighting for, I think he said, honesty, transparency, and victory. And then the board started passing all of these rule changes. And what the board can do is they can give guidance to counties in terms of what the law says. So they said that counties must undertake what it called a reasonable inquiry before certifying the election without specifying what a reasonable inquiry meant. They said that counties were entitled to all election-related documentation, which is a very broad list of documents. They most recently said that they need to hand count ballots on election day. All of this could be used as a pretext for Republican county officials not to certify an election if a Democrat wins.
My understanding too, I mean, on top of all this, the hand count, like what is the sort of subtextual strategy here? Because there seems to be like an idea, and I think always about the Republicans in Pennsylvania who said like you can't count early ballots until the end of the election on election day,
and the Democrats at the federal level did nothing. Yeah, well, Herschel Walker running the elections. What could go wrong? Is he still? Oh, wait, Herschel Walker is on that? It's on that committee or board?
Makes no sense unless the idea is we want these elections to sort of like we want the results to be delayed. Like what is the value? What is the sort of strategic subtextual value?
The value is that it casts doubt on the election and makes the, oh, not really. Okay. I see what you said. Okay. Oh man. The value is that you get to present a aura of fraud, right? You get to present this fog of like, oh, something's going on, the elections are rigged, we have to stop the count. When in reality, there's no proof of that, right? Oh, we have to stop the count because there may be some discrepancies in the count. Like, yeah, no, dude, it's just to sow doubt. That's it. That's the strategic value because it riles up these MAGA freaks.
The two Republicans to delay the counting of the votes, essentially.
Well, so they can weaponize it to their favor because, as you mentioned, in 2020, all of the state legislatures had the power to authorize the counting of mail ballots in a quicker kind of way. They refused to do so. And then, of course, it took longer to count those ballots. And then Trump weaponized that delay. And that was the beginning of his let's overturn the election argument, was that these states flipped in some kind of way because it took longer to count mail ballots and his lead disappeared, basically. And that was the beginning of his campaign to try to steal the election. So what's going to happen in Georgia?
And we should just say, like, the lead doesn't disappear. It's just that there's only a certain number of ballots that have been counted.
Well, exactly.
Like, there's no real lead once everybody's voted.
But the thing is everyone in the media explained this ahead of time, and everyone knew what was going to happen. And then when it happened, Trump pointed to it as Exhibit A for the conspiracy.
Right, like the Red Mirage is what it was called. I believe that's what he's referencing.
That Democrats were rigging votes in Atlanta or in Milwaukee or in Phoenix or wherever it took longer to count ballots. So what's going to happen in Georgia is because they now have to hand count the ballots. And the interesting thing is they're not actually hand counting votes. They're just comparing basically the machine vote count to a hand vote count, but that's going to take longer. And so what's happened is the results in Georgia are going to take longer. If there's some kind of delay, Trump's going to try to weaponize it. Then if counties don't certify the election, that could lead to a longer delay.
Right, which is exactly what he wants. That's the ideal scenario that he wanted in 2020. Kamikaze, welcome. I wonder if I got how do I change that chat settings? chat appearance. How do I get a badge to show on my chat? Well, I'll mess with this later. The thing right to the left of where you type. Oh, okay. Thank you for the follow, by the way. RGT. Oh, I see. Dang it, I never got that badge. I saw the thing. AMC is showing horror movies all day. Nice. It's that time. It's that time.
What's likely going to happen is that some counties are going to refuse to certify. They have to certify by the Monday after the election day, so basically 6 days after. There's going to be some period of time in which they don't certify, and then likely what's going to happen is Republican officials, like the Secretary of State, are going to take them to court. The courts are going to say they have to certify because that's what happened in other states. But if that period of time when they don't certify, which could be a day, 2 days, 3 days, a week, that's going to leave a tremendous amount of space for Trump to spread disinformation about the vote counting process if that happens.
And we should say, like, you know, I mean, I know you remember the 2000 election. I mean, so much of, we think it's like the vote is what the vote is, but even in the Supreme.
I'm so jealous of you guys. How did you have to like subscribe during September? Is that how that works? I thought I participated, but oh, okay, maybe I didn't subscribe. Maybe I gave biddies. Not the same.
Ruling Bush v. Gore was, they were hyper conscious of the perception of who won. In fact, they ruled that it would be prejudicial to George Bush if it appeared that he hadn't won in some fashion, which of course he hadn't won yet. There was no winner to the election. But like, this concept is out there, and it makes a big difference in the way that elections go.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the fact that, well, first the media called Florida for Bush, so it felt like, and then it shifted.
I guess I had to resubscribe to everything. Gotcha.
But it felt like the whole time the presumption was that Bush had won the state, even though there was never a period of time in which all votes are counted. And that remains a common misperception in Florida. What the Supreme Court did is the U.S. Supreme Court stopped the Florida Supreme Court from ordering a full recount of ballots. So there was never a full recount of ballots that eventually, I think, would have showed Al Gore won the state of Florida, but it never got to that. And so that really is my concern here, is that everyone thinks that we won't relive 2020 again. And hopefully we don't relive 2020 again. But Trump was trying to overturn.
Yeah, and like the fact of the... Whoa!
Amazon hates this, but there's nothing they can do to stop it. There's a new electric lighter out there, and it's got the firepower of a...
The votes.
Anyways. There's no doubt in my mind that the election is going to be close. So, yeah, and I would say that it's probably going to be closer than 2020. I love horror movies. Me too. Me too. I'm so happy for tomorrow to start of Monday of Money Month from the government. No idea what that is. We don't have money months. Just months without money.
in a number of states, at least 3 states, he was trying to overturn the results in, and he had to overturn 45,000 votes after the votes were counted. What if it's only 1 state? What if the votes aren't fully counted because counties refuse to certify? That's a different kind of situation. Then it might become more like Bush v. Gore in 2000 than Trump trying to throw out tens of thousands.
And what's crazy is that it makes it look more legitimate, right? Because if they get court rulings to stop counts, and that gets and that gets fought through the court system, and the court system ultimately decides that we need to we need to stop the count. Trump wins whatever state that's in contest for the election. That looks legitimate. That's literally 2020. 2012 or the 2008 election. No, not 2008. That can't be. The Al Gore versus Bush. Jesus, I'm blanking out. Al Gore versus Bush. When was this? 2000. In the 2000 election. It'll just be like that, and people just accept it, right? The courts ruled that that's how the process is going to play out. The province of Ontario is paying for my groceries this month. HST tax rebate plus carbon tax rebate. Nice. If they steal it and protests start, it will get ugly, really ugly. I agree. I think it's going to be even. I think it doesn't matter, right? Because if Trump loses, right, the first thing that's going to happen is he's going to call it rigged, and these people have a high propensity for violence. So I think that, especially since he's been talking about this since forever, these people are primed and ready to go. We played that clip yesterday. Where is it? Here.
Do you trust the process this time around?
Did I what?
Do you trust the process this time around?
I'll let you know in about 33 days. No, look, I'm in 33 days.
Yeah, so if he loses, I think that all bets are off for something worse than January 6th happening. Is all this windfall money talk a bannable offense? No. You getting tax money from the government is not a bannable offense, okay? Part of me wants them to install a Gatling gun in the House of Representatives. Xenocider Omega, welcome. Difference is we won't show up to counter protest if Harris wins. If we show up to protest a Trump theft, MAGA will also show up and bring violence. Yeah, I don't doubt it. I think violence potentially the potential for violence the potential for violence is on the table. I think regardless. And that's a pretty freaking scary thought. Not gonna lie. Just a month at this point, 30-something days out from the election.
Or potentially millions of votes in 2020.
And I know everybody's contemplating, like, what is this going to do to the Majority Report live show election coverage? But that's, we should say, is secondary. If we leave there and we don't have a winner, that's just the case. I mean, we have to deal with it. But is there a room are there people, I should say, who are sitting around, maybe they're getting in contact with Steve Bannon sitting in a prison somewhere. But are they saying like, okay, we have the ability to stall in Georgia. We've got some things going on in North Carolina. We might be able to mess with Wisconsin. We'll talk about these specifically. And
like also just as like a side note, even if they can't, even if like Georgia isn't like actually, even if Georgia doesn't end up being of strategic value, the point is they can point to Georgia and expand that out and say like, well, these other states should probably follow suit because, you know, there's shenanigans going on in Georgia or whatever, you know? So it works for them either way. I'll be glad when election month is over.
And so here's the plan. We're going to try and get one of these states to drag it out for a week, and then we're going to do X, Y, Z. Like they've got a plan, right? I mean, it may or may not, it may be sort of bananas or maybe not, but they've got a plan, right? I mean, this isn't willy nilly.
Exactly. And I think Georgia is the most concrete evidence we've seen yet of that plan, because what you have in Georgia is you have the national Trump officials, the people who tried to subvert the 2020 election, working with the state officials. So you see people who were, for example, Trump's lawyers in 2020, Cleta Mitchell, the Republican activist that was on the call with Brad Raffensperger, where Trump said that he wanted to reverse Biden's victory. I mean, she's been working with these local county.
That's true, Cognizant, because guess what? Election season gets back up because the midterms are coming after this.
Board of Elections. I mean, they're not getting this from nowhere. They're putting rule change after rule change after rule change through this board. And clearly someone is advising these county election officials, because the three members of the board themselves, they have no election related experience. They haven't worked on county election boards. They're people who came through basically the Stop the Steal movement in 2020. So they're getting their information from somewhere, and it's being fed by national conservative organizations, groups with ties to Project 2025, all of that. Georgia's not going to be the only state they focus on, but it's where they have the greatest amount of power. Now, they're certainly going to try to rerun that playbook in other swing states. The question...
No, I think just to explain, the election cycle never ends. Not because people stop, not because the election like is over, but because right after this comes the midterms. And just right after that cycle, guess what? The 2028 election will be upon us. So that's what they mean. I won't be. We will either have elected a monster or a corporate dem, both of whom we need to watch. Yeah.
Question is, are there other officials that could do something about it in the other swing states? For example, in Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, there's Democratic majorities on the state Supreme Court there. So it would seem hard to pull it off there. There's Democratic secretaries of state or Democratic legislatures. Remember in 2020, Trump tried to drag the leaders of the Michigan and Pennsylvania legislatures to the White House to overturn the results. Well, Democrats now control the Michigan legislature, and Pennsylvania is split. So in some ways, they have less of an ability to do this, but they're also a lot more organized and sophisticated, because in 2020, I'm sure you remember this, Sam, it was the Four Seasons Total Landscaping, Rudy Giuliani hair dye down the face type of election stealing. Now they control election boards in states like Georgia. So they can do this through more the quote unquote normal channels, and they can set it up before the election, which they think will be more effective.
Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show.
Uh-oh, so who forgot to put the things up here? Who goofed and forgot to put the little buttons on the left side? That's true. That's true, Ponder Monkey.
Do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about...
Somebody's gonna get stuff taken out of commissary for that. I think that is a more appropriate name for the RNC, the special elections. Well, we do have those in off years. Grift conservatives. I like that. Liz Cheney and Kamala are talking now on CNN. I saw they were doing something together. I just don't, for the life of me, it's just why? It doesn't make any sense.
When I was 10 years old, and I was sealing envelopes for President Ford's re-election campaign. I cast my first vote ever in 1984 for Ronald Reagan. I served in the State Department in both Bush administrations, and I served in the United States House of Representatives for 3 terms, including as the 3rd highest ranking Republican in House leadership. So, in other words, I was a Republican even before Donald Trump started spray tanning.
I was a ghoul before Donald Trump came along. Thanks. I think we heard all we needed to there. Let me be clear. I was a ghoul before Donald Trump came into the picture, okay? Well, next October, you Americans get to watch Canada turn into a conservative majority hellscape. Well, I'm sorry for your loss, Canada. All right, well, we got headlines to get through, so let's do this here. Trump says he'd revoke the protected status for Haitian migrants. In continuing the escalation of racist rhetoric, quote, Springfield is such a beautiful place. Have you seen what happened to it? It's been overrun. You can't do that to people. They have to be removed. Absolutely, I'd revoke the protected status and I'd bring them back to their country. So what he means is that there are non-white people there. That's what he means by Springfield being such a beautiful place. I think we just need to send Trump and Vance on a hunting trip with Dick Cheney. The former president claimed Haiti would accept the migrants being returned to the country, which has embroiled in turmoil, though he did not provide specifics. He has previously pledged mass deportation efforts upon taking office if he wins in November. During his term, Trump and his administration ordered the end of the temporary protected status for more than 300,000 immigrants, aggressively winding down the program. Trump in 2017 moved to end the TPS program for Haitians, forcing thousands to leave the country by 2019 or face deportation. The Biden administration has restored TPS program for many migrants, including those from Haiti. The Biden administration will allow an estimated 309,000 Haitians to remain in the U.S. through at least February of 2026. Trump's threat marks the furthest he's gone in his criticism of Haitian migrants who have been caught in a political firestorm since Trump and his running mate Vance amplified debunked claims about migrants in Springfield abducting and eating pets. Is Dick Cheney still alive? Is Dick Cheney even still alive? I don't remember. All the businesses want the Haitians there. Yeah, they're workers. Did you get the memo about the TPS report? Is this it? Roughly 15,000 Haitian immigrants have arrived in Springfield, the city of about 60,000 people, in recent years, according to the AP. Springfield police and other authorities denied any abductions have been reported, and city manager Brian Heck told The Hill that the false controversy takes away from the city's real struggles onboarding immigrants to social services. He is still alive, I'm pretty sure. Dang. Oh well. U.S. judge deals setback to Republican suit. Death is too scared to claim Dick Cheney's soul. Too much competition. U.S. judge... Jesus Christ. But true. U.S. judge deals setback to Republican suit against Biden's student debt relief. Hey, we got a something. A federal judge has dealt a setback to a legal challenge by 7 Republican-led states to the latest... just PM'd you the Mitch joke I'm making. Here? Oh, on the Discord? Oh, okay, gotcha. Oh, you can send that to me via Whispers, the Ponder Monkey. A federal judge has dealt a legal challenge by a setback to a legal challenge by 7 Republican-led states to the latest student debt forgiveness plan from President Biden's administration, removing Georgia from the case and moving it to Missouri. U.S. District Judge Randall Hall, based in Augusta, Georgia, took the action on Wednesday, one day before a temporary restraining order he issued he issued on September 5th, blocking the administration from proceeding with the plan. The U.S. Department of Education regulation that is not finalized was set to expire. Hall ruled that Georgia, which along with Missouri had led the lawsuit, failed to show that it would be harmed by the administration's plan to forgive the $73 billion in student loan debt held by millions of Americans. In other words, they don't have standing, okay? They don't have a case. The judge removed Georgia from the case for lack of legal standing, despite the state's claim for potential tax revenue losses, and transferred the litigation to federal court in Missouri. There's no indication that the rule is being implemented to attack the states or their income taxes, so any loss of tax revenue is incidental and insufficient to create standing in Georgia. The judge had previously ruled that Missouri did have standing to sue because the state operates a nonprofit student loan servicer that stands directly to lose millions of dollars in funding under the debt forgiveness plan. The administration proposed the regulation in April after previous plans were blocked by the courts. Biden, as a candidate in 2020, pledged to bring debt relief to millions of Americans who turned to federal student loans to fund their cost of higher education. The draft regulation, according to court papers, would allow government to provide a full or partial debt relief to estimated 27.6 million borrowers. The state challenging the policy on Thursday asked a federal judge in Missouri to rule by Friday on whether to continue blocking the proposal. The case was assigned to U.S. District Judge Matthew Shelp, an appointee for former Republican President Trump. A Department of Education spokesperson in a statement expressed appreciation for the judge's acknowledgement that this case that has no legal basis should be brought in Georgia, and said that the lawsuit reflects an effort by Republican state officials to prevent millions of their own constituents from getting breathing room on their student loans. Why do I feel if I respond it will end up as a runner of first joke? I think you meant Dick Cheney, not calling anyone names. No, I don't know. Yeah, just, it's okay, guys. Let's just keep it moving. I don't think anybody meant any insult.
Hello, Peter. What's happening? We have sort of a problem here. Yeah, you apparently didn't put one of the new cover sheets on your TPS report.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that. I forgot. Yeah. You see, we're putting the cover sheets on all TPS reports now before they go out. Did you see the memo?
We good?
This?
All right.
Yeah.
We good.
Yeah, I have the memo right here. I just forgot. But it's not shipping out till tomorrow, so there's no problem.
Yeah. If you could just go ahead and make sure you do that from
That's funny.
now on, that would be great. And I'll go ahead and make sure you get another copy of that memo. Okay?
Yeah, no, I have the memo. I've got it. It's right.
Hello, Phil. What's happening?
Okay, but I'm gonna need my stapler. Love that movie. We will continue our lawful efforts. Wait, I feel like I'm missing something. Okay, no. We will continue our lawful efforts to deliver relief to more Americans including by vigorously defending these proposals in court. The Office of Attorneys General of Georgia and Missouri did not respond to requests for comment. Under the draft regulation, debt relief would be granted to people who owe more than they first borrowed due to interest that has accrued, those who have been paying off their loans for at least 20 to 25 years, depending on circumstances, and borrowers who are eligible for forgiveness under prior programs but never applied. The fact that the rule has not yet been finalized was cited by the U.S. Justice Department in arguing there was no final agency action for the judge to review in the first place. The states argued that the administration was laying down the groundwork to immediately cancel loans once the rule became final before anyone could sue to stop it. Mouselander, I just saw the Curse of Humpty Dumpty. It was beyond awful. Welcome. Republicans countered that the Democratic president... the White House has called the current student loan system broken and said debt relief is necessary to ensure that borrowers are not financially burdened by their decision to seek higher education. Republicans countered that the Democratic president's student loan forgiveness approach amounts to an overreach of authority and an unfair benefit to college-educated borrowers, while others receive no such relief. Yeah, I mean, like, just cancel the whole damn thing. Really. This shouldn't be a problem that we need to be talking about in the first place. But yet here we are. Student debt is already different from other forms of debt. Yep. Eliminate interest on student loans. Usury of those seeking education is sick. If most of the Republican voters had student loans, there would not be a problem. It is predatory. It is predatory. Trump claims new Jack Smith filing is election interference. Here's how it became public. Former President Trump and his campaign have accused Special Counsel Jack Smith for violating long-standing Justice Department norms by including new revelations about the former president's efforts to overturn his 2020 election loss in a filing released on Wednesday. In reality, a federal judge, not Jack Smith, made this decision to release the filing to the public. Trump on Thursday called it a weaponization of government to release the filing just a month before Election Day, alleging that Smith and federal law enforcement officials were improperly influencing a presidential election. It's true that the Justice Department typically abides by an informal 60-day quiet period before an election, meaning they avoid taking discretionary action that could be seen as influencing voters. The new disclosures from the special counsel's office, however, were made in an ongoing criminal case at the order of a federal judge, Tanya Chutkan, who ultimately made the decision to release the redacted filing on Wednesday. Smith was not aware that Chutkan was going to make that decision to release the document, nor the timing of that release. Two sources familiar with the matter who were not authorized to speak publicly told NBC News. Others have compared the October surprise filing to then FBI Director James Comey's pronouncements that Hillary Clinton's emails in October of 2016 to Trump's benefit. But the scenarios are starkly different. In 2016, the director of the FBI made disparaging comments about a presidential candidate who, their investigation found, did not commit conduct that warranted criminal charges. In 2024, a special counsel who secured 3 separate indictments from 3 different federal grand juries against the former president disclosed information in an ongoing criminal case at the order of a federal judge. Chutkan had repeatedly made clear in court hearings that Trump's presidential run and campaign schedule, despite the protestations of Trump's team will have no impact on the criminal case before her. The judge made that point explicitly in an order last month, writing that Trump's concern with the political consequences of these proceedings does not bear on the pretrial schedule. Chutkan, who regained control of the case in August after the Supreme Court ruled that Trump has immunity on some official acts relevant to the case, had ordered both Smith's team and Trump's to submit their arguments about what Trump conduct in the case was presidential and what conduct was private. Smith's team elected to clear the plate, getting a brand new grand jury to return a fresh indictment against Trump without hearing testimony about Trump's official acts, meaning mostly testimony about his attempts to weaponize the Justice Department for his personal benefit. The new indictment, handed down in late August, was returned just outside the window of the so-called 60-day rule, a guideline based on long-standing Justice Department policies and traditions that recommends federal prosecutors take no action against a candidate in the period immediately before an election. Even with that new indictment, there's still a lot of details to work out to determine the bounds of the case, what evidence is in, what evidence is out. The Supreme Court's opinion left it up to Chutkan to make many of the fact-specific immunity determinations in the case, and written arguments were always going to be part of that process. Chutkan set a deadline of September 26 for Smith to file his opening brief on immunity because the brief and its appendix contained sensitive material, such as grand jury and witness information. Smith had to file his brief under seal, which his office did last week. After hearing opposition from Trump's team about redactions, Smith's team suggested, Chutkan reviewed the brief and ultimately decided that the redactions were appropriate. Chutkan also responded to Trump's earlier complaints, potentially violating the 60-day rule, writing on September 24th that his team could now explain how this court is bound by or has jurisdiction to enforce the Department of Justice policy. Nice meme. Trump argued on his Truth Social account Thursday that the DOJ should absolutely do nothing that could interfere with the election in the 60-day prior. They disobeyed their own rule in favor of a complete and total election interference, he wrote in one post. I did nothing wrong and they indicted me. This case is a scam just like all others. The 60-day period does not apply to judges, nor does it apply to pending cases, although that's always subject to discretion if prosecutors want to avoid taking certain actions, even in pending cases. Chuck Rosenberg, a Justice Department veteran and NBC News legal analyst, said Smith's team was doing things by the book. The case was previously indicted. Litigating that case is not obligation of the Smith team and not a violation of Justice Department guidelines. In any event, the Smith team properly sealed its filing. The judge properly unsealed it. It's really not more complicated than that. Still, Smith's decision to swiftly seek a superseding indictment against Trump in August can't be separated from the reality that he and his team believe that Trump is a criminal who committed 4 felonies in a conspiracy to overturn the 2020 election. Is a repeat offender is a repeat offender who committed the kind of criminal who has committed the kind of criminal conduct that would earn him a lengthier sentence, and that Trump should be serving that sentence in 2025, not in the White House. Had Smith's team had their way, the Supreme Court would not have stepped in, and Trump would currently be in federal prison or at least a convicted criminal, and they would be preparing their sentencing memos for Chutkan as election day nears. Trump's campaign rhetoric about the Justice Department going back to his time in office also has deeply offended the federal prosecutors to the core, undermining the institution and principles they've dedicated their careers to. Trump's attacks on the Justice Department are similar to those prosecutors have highlighted in the more than 1,500 criminal cases against January 6 defendants, the kinds of comments that federal prosecutors have argued showed a lack of remorse and disrespect for the law and therefore warrant longer sentences. Yeah, if he gets convicted, man, I have a feeling that judge is going to throw whatever she can at him, honestly. I think, like, the real question, I think the real question is, like, what will end up happening in the event that he does get convicted for something like this? Will he actually see the inside of Will he actually see the inside of a jail cell? I don't know. I don't know. And they're bringing criminal charges against that plastics company. Good. Freaking good, man. They also should bring the criminal case against the actual owner. Against the actual owner who made these decisions that ultimately led to these workers dying. They're using pack mules to carry supplies in Nashville. Yep. I saw that. Michael Hassler, I saw that. They are. I wonder how long, I wonder how long it's going to be before proper supply lines are, I wonder how long it'll be before, like, proper arteries get opened into Asheville, because there's only like a couple of like main highways that go into Asheville. If I'm correct, I think there's only like 2 or 3 major highways that go directly into Asheville. I'm sure there's like smaller roads, but like as far as like main highways, I think there's only a couple. OSHA needs to update the federal guidelines for evacuations and come down hard on the people who don't comply. I agree, wholeheartedly. Hey, breaking news. Port strike ends as workers agree to tentative deal on wages and contracts extensions. Nice. The International Longshoremen's Association and the United States Maritime Alliance have reached a tentative agreement on wages and have agreed to extend the master contract until 2025 to return to the bargaining table to negotiate all other outstanding issues. Hey, there you go. Unions get the goods, folks. I'm sure we'll be talking about that on Monday. We got one more story, folks. Trump election conspiracy theorist Tina Peters sentenced to 9 years in prison by Colorado judge. Nice. Leverage is all we have, folks. Yep. They folded in, what, 2 days? There's 10, 240, and 25, the main thoroughfares in Asheville. Yep. There you go. There's exactly 3 main, like, big ones. That sounds about right. I thought it might have been around 2 or 3. Tina Peters, a former Colorado Republican county clerk who espoused the false conspiracy theory that former President Trump lost the 2020 election due to ballot fraud, was sentenced on Thursday today to 9 years in prison for crimes related to the breach of her county's voting system. Quote, "You are no hero," said District Judge Matthew Barrett. "You are a charlatan who used and is still using your prior position in office to peddle snake oil that's been proven to be junk time and time again." Nice. "Your lies are well documented and these convictions are serious. I'm convinced you'd do it all again if you could," said Barrett. Barrett told the 60-year-old former Mesa County clerk who was accused of using another person's security badge to allow someone else access to the county's election system. The person who used the badge was affiliated with Mike Lindell, the CEO of MyPillow, and a leading proponent of the claim that Trump's defeat for a second term was due to ballot fraud. Quote, you're as defiant a defendant as this court has ever seen, said Barrett. Peters, who has questioned the probation, told the judge before his sentence, I've never done anything with malice to break the law. I only wanted to serve the people of Mesa County. Yeah, no. Nope. Mesa County District Attorney Daniel Rubenstein told Barrett that Ms. Peters demonstrated repeatedly that she does not think she did anything wrong. Are you serious? Like, allowing somebody unauthorized access to something so freaking sensitive with the intention of trying to either finagle with the election or try to obtain anything that could potentially sow doubt on the election without any prior evidence. Like, yeah, dude, whatever. She submitted a statement to the court in the pre-sentence investigation report, giving excuses, giving justifications, but never once acknowledging that she did anything wrong, that this was not the way to handle this, Rubenstein said. What does every 12-step program start with? It starts with acknowledging you have a problem, and she has not done that, and there's no purpose in rehabilitation for someone who does not think that they did anything wrong. Peters was immediately taken into custody after Barrett rejected her lawyer's request that she remain free. Peters was convicted by a trial in jury in August of 7 criminal counts, including attempting to influence a public servant, conspiracy to commit criminal impersonation, violation of duty, and failure to comply with Secretary of State requirements. Shortly after Peters was sentenced, the Republican presidential nominee Trump told attendees at a campaign rally in Michigan that in the 2020 election, we won, we did. It was a rigged election, Trump said. Quote, and that's why I'm doing it again. If I thought I'd lost, I wouldn't be doing this again, said Trump, who is facing Vice President Kamala Harris and the Democratic nominee in this year's presidential race. Trump is being criminally prosecuted in federal court in Washington, D.C., and the state court in Atlanta with charges related to the efforts to undo President Biden's victory in the 2020 election. So, yeah, she's facing 9 years. That's pretty serious freaking time, man. That's pretty serious time, and well earned. And I wish that, and I hope that the rest of these clowns receive the same fate. Yeah, I did nothing wrong. They said where they were a little chilly at night. Seriously, it's like, how could you not see? It's a lie. She's lying. She's lying. She's lying. Either that, like, either she's actively lying, or it's so diluted that, like, that she's so diluted that, like, she actually believes her own BS. At best, she was lied to and wanted to be a hero. Right, but, like, I don't know. It's like, I can't put myself in the mindset because, like, there was no evidence there was nothing to warrant this behavior. And, like, furthermore, even if you truly if you truly believed that, if you truly believed that you were doing something good, why do that? Why give access to something so important like an election machine that could potentially compromise the very thing you were trying to protect? William dupes are easy to convince. Yeah, I suppose so. And I guess she's just lost in the sauce and believes it. Either that or she's lying. Probably influenced by being connected to the Pill King. Yeah, my pillow. I mean, it's the way the cult works, I guess. Doesn't make it doesn't make any sense, because once you're in a cult, you're in a cult. Alright, folks, it's about to be 7 o'clock. I gotta get out of here. Food just arrived a few minutes ago, so it's time to eat. It is time to eat. Folks, man, if you can, there's several organizations that could potentially benefit from donations for the people that are affected by this storm. If you can point me out some good organizations, I'll start posting some on the Discord as well, and I'll start putting them here. I'll make like a chat command. If somebody can point me out, put it on the Discord, just go hop on the Discord and put it in the general chat, and just put it on the general chat, and if you know something, you guys already did it. if you know of a good organization, I'll look some up as well. We can put like a chat command to shout out these organizations. Yeah, Trump doing a fundraising for hurricane victims that also think there were no hurricane. The best bet is to find local ones. Yeah, so to make sure that the money goes directly to local. Yeah, that's a great. If you know something, point it out, or just message me. It doesn't matter. Just message me and I'll post links. Looking for movie night suggestions too. Yeah, go to !general or thread. There's a thread on the general for movie nights as well. We got a couple weekends to go. Since it's the last Saturday of October, that's going to be. Oh wait, I've got one. It's spooky season, folks. Why not? It's spooky season, so why not go into that theme? We can do a spooky movie that's not too much, that if enough people want to do that for spooky day. That works for me. Yeah, movie suggestions. Got it. Not too scary. Yeah, but something in theme. Something in theme doesn't have to be too too hardcore, but that's an idea. Puppet Master. We'll throw it up in the Discord, and I'll take a look at a trailer or something. Like the Nightmare Before Christmas. That's a classic. I'm wearing the beanie. So that's an idea. Multiple jokes there. I watch that all year long. Beetlejuice. Yeah, hey, there's another option. I used to be in another Discord. We used to watch invite-only hardcore horror movies. I mean, like, I could do that, but, like, you know, we want as many folks to participate. So, yeah, I mean, I'm down. I'm down for something a little more on the October spooky season theme. Just an option. Rocky Horror Picture Show? I haven't seen that one. I'm pretty sure I'm going to forget all of this the moment I sign off, so just throw it all in the Discord. Yeah, exactly. We don't want it to be so freaking hardcore foot long, so yeah. You've never seen Rocky Horror? Nope. My ex made me watch Rocky. It's tradition. A zombie movie, maybe. Maybe. Throw up any suggestions you guys might want, and we can zero in on that as we go. Chaos. Chaos is great in your free time. Rocky Horror is fantastic. Well, there you go. That's more, yeah, we should vote. Like, all these suggestions can be put up for a vote, you know? Or can be decided between all of us if you all want to watch, like, one movie or the other that, you know... Yeah, we can vote in the Discord if we get some suggestions. Yeah, we have polls now. Discord allows us to do polls, so it's something we can do. All right, folks. It allows you to do polls. No, I think you can do polls now. Pretty sure you can do polls now. Okay, go eat. All right. Folks, it's time. It's time for me to get some food. Thank y'all for stopping by. I appreciate it. Thank you for all the support. You guys are what makes this channel grow. Thank you all. I appreciate it. We'll be back on Monday. Thank you. Thank you for stopping by. And again, if you want to support the channel, there are many different ways of doing so. Consider checking out the merch store and hitting the exclamation mark tip. Thank you. Thank you, Heat. Thank you, Michael Hasser, for modding the chat. I appreciate it. It's time, folks. We'll be back on Monday. Spread the word far and wide. We're here Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you all. I appreciate it. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. See ya. Also, shout out to the YouTube crew. Thank you guys for watching on YouTube. All right, folks, we're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.